I'm going to tell you guys 7 things that is going to make your leveling process faster, your gearing and your economy is just going to be more efficient, and your character in general is going to be much stronger by the time you get to endgame. I've been playing PoE non-stop. Currently, I myself am at endgame, so I got through all the acts, cruel difficulty, all that kind of stuff, and there's definitely some mistakes that new players can make to kind of hinder their character development, right? So that's literally what I'm going to cover in this video. If you guys do enjoy this one, slap a like, sub to the channel, and now let's get right into it. Number 1 mistake I see a lot of new players make is not upgrading your gear. Let's say you're in Act 1, you're just clearing all the maps, making your way Act 2, but there's not really many upgrades dropping for you to actually make your character better, stronger, right? Or maybe like myself, you've been looking for a wand since the game came out and all you're getting is like maybe bows. And that's where upgrading comes in. A lot of people sit on the materials. So let's say you just get a white normal drop, and you're thinking, you know what? This is horrible. I'm just going to wait for the blue drop or the yellow drop whenever it happens with the right perks and so on. The problem is that that might not happen for a very long time. But meanwhile, you're getting a lot of these kind of items, the normal items, which you can upgrade with the right material. So for example, this one says upgrades a normal item to a magic item with 1 modifier. Boom, you slap it on and now you have plus 22 dexterity. Now if dex is something you don't need, you're gonna throw this away. You're gonna get a white item. You're gonna try again. But the point is, you gotta keep upgrading your gear and not sit on the materials. Now, let's say dexterity was something you were looking for. In that case, don't be afraid to use the second material, which will add another perk. In this case, we got mana. If this is something you like, then you use the next material, which will turn this thing into a yellow item. And that is how you create your perfect item. So do not sit on the materials, because you will fall back and your character will start progressing slower. You're going to be killing enemies slower, which means you're leveling slower. And all of that is just going to hinder all your leveling process, okay? Do not sit on your upgrades. And speaking of upgrades, there are 2 main things you want to look out for if you're trying to get through the content easier. Number 1, when it comes to weapons, I don't have that on my weapon at the moment, but what you're looking for the most, +2, +3, whatever you get, the luckier you get, the higher the number, the better for your skills. So you guys will see that I'm using a lot of frost skills, right? Freeze skills. In that case, what I'm looking for in my weapon is, let's say, +3 for my cold skills. The damage increase when you get a perk like that on your weapon is absolutely insane. You're gonna be deleting bosses with just that weapon alone. That's how big of a difference that makes. So you need to be looking out for that specific perk very carefully. If you get it, do not delete that weapon. Trust me, you're gonna get through the game much easier. And on top of that, for the gear, look out for HP. HP is something that is very, very valuable. So don't make the mistake of deleting those kind of items. If you see HP or the plus on your skills, keep them no matter what. Now let's talk about the world map and the bosses, because this is something that is extremely important and a lot of people don't know, or just, skip it for whatever reason. Always go for the bosses on the map that has a plus sign next to it. This is an absolute game changer, guys, okay? These will give you specific things, such as, for example, spirit or, increased defenses or whatever. And those things are permanent. For example, you see that the witch here, the witch boss here, gives me +30 to spirit. Now, always look around the map and search for the bosses with the plus sign. This literally makes you so much stronger at the end game, because spirit, for example, is something that is just very important no matter what kind of build you're going to be running. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can kill these bosses on both of the difficulties. So once you get through Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 normally, and you kill this and you get like +30 to spirit, if you find the same boss in the cruel difficulty, right, you are going to be getting that spirit as well. Now let's talk about the defenses, because a lot of players are completely ignoring this. And as I said, with the weapon perk and HP stat as well, defenses is something that you really, and I mean really, have to focus on. Most of these things will be on pretty much all the gear, but the rings are very good for this. For example, on this ring, you see 29% to lightning resistance, 70 maximum life. We also have some cast speed in there. And then we also have plus 7% to lightning resistance. And those things really matter because your characters are gonna get like destroyed if you don't have the right resistances. You can get them all the way up to 75% and feel much more tankier no matter what class you're gonna be playing on and no matter what kind of build you're gonna be rocking, right? So this is another thing that you should always look for. Another thing that we're going to talk about here, selling and disenchanting. While gold is very, very important and you should be selling, one thing that you need to know is that when you're disenchanting yellow items, it will give you materials to then have your crafting materials. So for example, if you disenchant a yellow item, it will give you 1 regal shard. And once you get 10 regal shards, you will be able to get 1 regal orb. And this orb gives you the ability to turn a blue item into a yellow item, which is also very important. So once again, you should be selling your items, but also when you have the ability to do so, disenchant the yellow items as well. So you get a lot of regal shards and then stack up on regal orbs. These will drop a little bit more towards the end game, and they did buff the drop rate in general. However, that's something to keep in mind. Let's say you have like a few 100,000 gold already and you're trying to get a little bit more regal orbs. This will definitely come in handy. Now we got to talk about movement speed. Currently, you see that on my boots, I don't have movement speed because I rolled 145 HP on my boots and I really don't want to get rid of this. However, if you can find yourself boots with movement speed and HP, that's the perfect case scenario. Obviously, after that, resistances are really nice and whatever you can get your hands on, but movement speed is gonna change the game. And the reason I say that is no matter what boss you're fighting, what activity you're doing, if you're trying to complete the trials for your ascendancy, movement speed is a game changer. You're gonna be avoiding attacks much easier. For example, once again, when you're doing trials, right? There you have the honor system, which means that if you do get hit, you lose the honor, you can literally fail the trials and not get your ascension points. And having that movement speed makes that so much easier to complete. So this is one of the most important stats in this game, period. No matter what you're doing, actually, even boss fights, as I said, trials, just running around the map, clearing, movement speed is king. And that is something that you should be aiming for. But yeah, that is another thing that you do not want to delete. And finally, let's go over flasks. Like just as an example, this one literally changed the game for me. As I said, I'm using a build with a blood magic, which means that I'm taking more damage when I'm doing skills, when I'm casting skills, and I'm trying to get around it with life leech or whatever. It's been an extremely fun journey. But the point is that this flask right here changed the game for me. We get 1600 life over 3 seconds, and it only consumes 7 of 75 charges on use, right? That is huge, guys. I think that the best flasks are the ones that recover your HP as fast as possible. In this case, you guys see it says 3 seconds, right? And on top of that, it has 1600 HP recovered. Another thing you need to know is that you can also upgrade flasks as well as you would any other gear piece. So for example, if we pick up this flask right here, let's grab this and then use this one. You see that it gets a perk. Now we're at 1500 life recovered, but this one is for over 4 seconds. Meanwhile, mine is over 3 seconds. And on this one, we actually got gained 0.20 charges per second. So it's going to be one of those things that you want to choose, but finding the right flask is going to be a game changer. So if you do find something that looks decent, don't just throw it away. Upgrade it with some of these materials and see what you get until you find the perfect one. And yeah, that's about it, guys. These are the 7 tips that will really affect your gameplay when it comes to survivability, gearing, economy, leveling speed, all that kind of stuff. If you guys did enjoy this one, and only if you did, slap a like, drop a sub. I got tons of more content on the way for PoE 2, and I'll see you all on the next one.